To invite Dr. Asifa Sultana, Associate Professor, Department of English and Humanities, BRAC University, to introduce the next speaker and the session. Dr. Asifa Sultana, she will be the moderator of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dipti. Okay, I welcome you all to the second plenary session of the second plenary session of the second session of the first day of the international conference. I would like to just repeat what you are already probably familiar with. So we'll take all the questions towards the end. You can write them in the chat box, or you can say them to the speaker. So I would like to introduce the speaker of the session. I would like to welcome Professor Dr. Niladri Sekhar Das. Dr. Niladri Sekhar Das is a professor and head linguistic at the Linguistic Research Unit, Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata. He works in the areas of corpus linguistics and language technology, language documentation and digitization, computational lexicography, computer-assisted language learning, digital ethnography. He is a visiting fellow of the British Academy, UK, University of Reading, UK, and University of Oxford, UK. He has published 17 books and 260 research papers in international and national journals, anthologies, and conference proceedings. I now welcome Dr. Niladri Sekhar Das, and I request him to start the session.
So can you hear me?
Yes.
Am I audible? Okay, fine.
Yes,
So first the formalities. I'm really thankful to Saidurji, Tasnima, and other people who are there in the organizing team for giving me an opportunity or asking me to share some of my ideas about ELT and English language teaching here. So in this challenging situation, today's talk is basically I'm sharing some of my ideas and the strategy we adopted for an experimental survey or study here in West Bengal. And we call it a SEL system, and given a new name. The project is not yet over. We work with the primary learners who are learning language, early stage of learning language, very at the early stage. And what are the outcomes we came across from these experiments? I'll share those information here. Only since I have got only half an hour's time, so I won't elaborate into details, but I'll give, there are 32 slides altogether here, but the whole thing is something much bigger than this. So I will share these slides. Those who are interested who can share these slides. Also, I can skip because of the limitations of time given to me. I can skip this also. So I'll try to be a little logical and systematic and give some basic seed ideas about the whole situation, and also put up some challenges for the new generation of scholars, the research component, who can, the new scholars can take up. Because I assume that the situation here in Bangladesh as well as in West Bengal are more or less same. So here, so let me start. The reality, no fantasy please. So I'm not talking about anything fantastic. I'm talking about a reality that this is the state where English is reintroduced at the primary level after 25 years. This is the situation in West Bengal. Nearly 3 or 4 years back, English was reintroduced at the primary level after 25 years. Keep in mind. And there is no book available to be used as textbook for the learners. There is no ELT resources like workbooks, dictionaries, study materials, reference materials, which can be used as teaching aids. There is no trained ELT teacher to teach at the grassroots level. And there is no academic support of any kind from the earlier generation. Keep in mind, there is a long gap of 25 years. The entire 2 generations didn't get any opportunity to learn English. And I know 2 of my close relatives committed suicide just because they couldn't learn English, although they had a beautiful results at the secondary level. And they couldn't cope up with these English medium schools at the colleges, advanced colleges. So this is the situation that actually helped us or triggered us to look into the problem and study and make an experiment that is it possible that in this situation, how we can teach English to the learned primary level. So practicality and research questions were like that. Learner's mother tongue is Bangla. This is a practical situation for us. English to be taught as a second language to them. What should be our strategy for teaching English in this context? I'm putting this question to all of you. Think seriously, what would be your strategy then? What should be the syllabus, textbooks, reference books, dictionaries, guidebooks, and other resources? So there are a lot of issues, a lot of questions, a lot of problems are actually present before us. How these are to be utilized for developing learners as a competent users of English? Who will be teaching English to those learners, and how? What would be the methodology? What would be the strategy to teach so that the learners can learn English and somehow can develop certain level of competence to communicate with each other or in a higher level? How modern language technology, techniques, tools, or resources can be utilized. So these are the practicality and research questions. Our strategy, catching a wild goose. So our strategy was something very, I'm just giving you the brief. We used a new strategy for developing the ELT interface in such a way that learners are able to learn English better than traditional method. This was a very clear goal, that we should have a very useful strategy so the learners can learn better. At least at the initial stage, learners learn English in their own ways through direct utilizations of assistance of their mother tongue. Since nobody, not even the teachers, tutors, parents, or experts are available, is there to help them in learning English, learners have to help themselves and nobody else. And we can help support them, or we can give all possible assistance in the whole effort. It is a combination of corpus-based, data-driven, multimodal, and blended learning methodologies. So we have utilized many of the properties of corpus linguistics, data-driven approaches to language learning, multimodal, as well as blended learning. We have used those approaches. It is an experimental one, learner-oriented. Entirely the whole process is controlled by the learners by themselves. We are just helping hands, giving certain amount of support, learner-oriented, highly customizable facilities, and research-based method. We named it Self-Help English Language Learning System. So we call it a SEL system. Our traditional method was something like this. Look at the picture. And our goal is we should have a proposed system, something like this, where learners would be there, who would be learning the whole schemes or systems of learning of the English of their own. And there would be a teacher, we call it the helper person, who will be assisting the learners. So the new journey for us is that it is based primarily on practical constraints. We used it for developing text materials for the new generations of learners. Learners are mostly first generation learners. There is another important question, that most of the learners who are included in this experiment are the first generation learners. They learn English for the first time in life at the very early stage, at the primary level. Learners have minimum linguistic efficiency in the first language. First language is Bangla, and they have certain amount of skill or efficiency in their language. They now learn English as a second language. Learners do not receive any academic help or support from their parents in learning English. They got some passive help from their teachers during school hours. Taming these wild horses with the bridle of ELT is a challenge for us. Our SEL system shows we can achieve it. Now, these are the basic features. Learners are the main protagonist. A teacher has a partial role. She just has to assist or monitor. Textbooks are made in the form of the graded syllabus for us with data and information from English language corpora. We have taken a lot of support from English language corpora, particularly British English language corpora, and both audio and video text, audio text and written text are taken for our survey or our experiment. We designed the separate textbooks for grade 1 to grade 4 or grade 5 or 6, so you can have multiple grades of text materials ready for the learners. Text samples included the graded textbooks are carefully selected based on their merits and relevance of particular grades. Original English text from different domains of actual empirical use are selected, keeping in mind the standard of the grades of the learners. So there are some other features. I won't go into details, so one can go through that. I'll just mention one experiment that had a excellent features. This is a case study skeleton. Our goal, teaching English vowels. And for experiment of this, I'm talking about only how we have succeeded in teaching vowels to the learners without the help of the teachers. Target learners are primary students, mother tongue Bangla, mode of teaching through mother tongue, medium of instruction was also Bangla, manner of teaching was highly interactive, instrument we used is a desktop computer, role of the student is an active, he was or she was actually operating the whole system or learning, role of the teacher was spacing, duration was for 1 hour. The Cartoonizer, we completed the pronunciation module for English vowels with inputs from speech corpus of the British English. First thing was that we used the speech corpus of the British English and developed the interface about the pronunciation variations of all the vowels used in British English. We devised a learning interface based on the CALT, that is Computer Assisted Language Technology device. We use that system so that the learners utilize the device in a classroom situation with minimum assistance of the teachers. The resource and the device help learners to master the orthographic form and pronunciation of English vowels. The module works efficiently, effectively in an interactive interface based on the mother tongue of the learners. So the procedure here is the procedures, different stages of the procedure that we have followed to develop those materials. I won't go into the details. Now, English vowels. In English scripts, there are 5 vowels, as we all know. And whenever we start teaching the learners at the very early stage, we say that there are 5 vowels in English. But they have innumerable pronunciation variations. Unfortunately, I have experimented with the teachers here in West Bengal that most of the teachers who are teaching English at the primary level, they don't know that a single English vowel has more than 7 or 8 or 10 or 11 pronunciation variations. And based on a particular usage of a letter in a particular words or lexical frame, the pronunciation of the vowel changes. A sensitive ear can differentiate between the sounds which sometimes seem very similar to one another. Learners with sharp ears can acquire all the pronunciation variations of vowels with little trouble. Many learners need long training before they can learn to detect and pronounce foreign vowels with success. So here, look at the example. I can assure you with 200% security, or rather assurance, that 100% of English teachers here in West Bengal failed to identify that English A has 8 variations in pronunciation. Here are the pronunciations which have been collected from the British English corpus. You can find out that there are 8 different pronunciations. Now, if I ask the teacher to teach all these pronunciation variations to the learner, I'm 200% sure that it will be a miserable situation, awful situation. Teacher himself or herself doesn't know. But in our system, we'll show you later on that there are options. See, here are the examples. I can take there are text on that. See, you can notice here that there are the letters and test and IPA, the symbols and the Bengali words given in that Bengali orthography. And each example is also given in English and in standard orthography. And also there is an audio version of it. And also our interface where the learners will hear it and pronounce it. And the moment he or she pronounces it rightly, he gets some merits or some points that this is the pronunciation. So here, look at the interface here, the pronunciation variations, 8 types, and how it should be understood by them and how it should be pronounced. Like car, start, and here here a, here o, here a, here a, here and a. So everywhere you can find out that this English vowel A has 8 distinct pronunciations, and unfortunately from our study we have noted not a single teacher has been successful enough. Now look at the next one. English E has 10 different pronunciations, and we don't know. There are 10 distinct, useful, unique pronunciations. Let's say next one. Here is the examples. You can find out that each example in IPA as well as in Bengali alphabets are given. So the learners are learning the pronunciation variations of the sounds from their Bengali, the orthographic representations, because from their known to unknown, they are actually learning. And also they are learning the pronunciations of these sounds from the examples along with the words. So they are actually reciting or repeating those sounds time and again and learning those sounds. See, I has 7 different vowels. As per e, half, I, a, o. So sometimes it is also silent. So here is the examples that you can find out. We have given 7 types in IPA, in Bengali orthography, and every word is given in Bengali orthography so that the learners can produce them and can read them through their own known language. O has 12 variations. This is quite surprising. You can notice that there are 12 different pronunciation variations of English O. And I must confess here also that I had no idea that there are 12 variations of O, and each one is a very prominent one in standard British pronunciation. Here is the list. You can find out how this particular sound is pronounced in different contexts, in different ways. So learners are actually learning all those variations through this interface. So here you can find out the U has 11 variations. Each one is unique, and each one is also have a different types, and the learner has to learn very carefully how those pronunciation variations can be. They can learn, and in our experiments, these learners who are exposed to this interface did exceedingly well, far better than their teachers. Here is the 11 examples of this particular vowel sound, which has been produced and given to the learners. Now, these are the 5 vowels. Now, take up this, the interface, another important complex part here. I'm just giving you the one example. The same thing has been done for all the single sound of all the vowels. See, here's the vowel sound type 1. Type 1 has an IPA representation in Bangla orthography, in word 2 and word 3, as well as in orthography pronunciation of the word in Bangla, and it has an audio output. For every sound, it has audio output, and the meaning also given in Bangla. So for every speech pronunciation variety of each vowel sound, we have an interface of this type. The learners actually learn from this. They click on the audio, click on the sounds, click on the meaning. Sometimes we also given the usage. They learn the usage of those sounds. So this is one of the examples, one of the interfaces which has been given to the learners, and they are using by themselves. The teacher is not there in the class. Teacher is not interfering. Rather, teacher is also sitting in another system as a student, also learning how the pronunciations are actually uttered. And all the examples are taken from the British National Speech Corpus. Now, the cell system advantage. This is the whole interface we have given, and we had a fantastic result. We have noted that the learners did exceedingly well. In fact, they learned almost all the pronunciation variations of the words quite elegantly, quite successfully, and they could also pronounce them without any assistance from the teachers. Teach pronunciation of English vowels in a very lively interactive interface. We have taught them. Method adopted works through CAD system, that is computer learner student interface there. Limited interface for interference of the teacher. Teacher was not actually interfering. Teacher is at the sideline. Rather, teacher is basically a student, one of the participants in the whole course. Parents' interference or parental interference was absolutely zero. British representative pronunciation has been taken, but that can be revised into Indian representative pronunciation or any other representative pronunciation for a particular community, think relevant for them. Audio-visual interface also given to them for their learning processes. What are the other advantages? Learner as researchers, since we don't interfere with the learners can do this part in their own way. They can start at any point, or any particular vowel. They could do exhaustively, and they're quite happy because it is a quite interactive one, and sometimes some images some comes, some pictures comes, some sentences come, and they can also use their mother tongue to learn those sounds. This is also possible that group-based learning environment can be given, that 2 or 3 learners can also sit together and learn this. Customized and localized is possible. Spatiotemporal constants are removed because we have taken for that it is not that the learners has to come to the school and use interface. We are also developing into this frame into mobile phone interface, so that from their home also they can use a mobile and do this part. Can be part of the e-learning or online ELT or e-learning scheme. Those who are trying to introduce this scheme, they can also utilize that one. A part of educational technology, this has been considered as a part of the educational technology, keeping in view that this pandemic has already given us a very clear signal that by next 2 or 3 or 4 years or 5 years time, the entire teaching system interface would be systems that is digitized on digital platform. Student has to directly interact with individual level or collective level with the teachers, and they are not going to come to the class in a school regularly to interact. So on that digital platform, you can utilize that one. Now, future missions, the research goals that I'm keeping here. So I have already completed this part. I've shown you the vowel part. The consonant part is also done. And both are now being used as an experimental basis in some schools, and we are getting very good results. The project is not yet complete, but the success or the grade of success rate which we acquire is a very tremendous one. So the future problem, the research problems which I can put up here for the young generations, those who would be interested to look into it. Can you think of strategies and resources systems for teaching English syllables that is still untouched for us? You can think of strategies, resources systems for word formation processes or lexical decomposition processes or compound word decomposition composition processes, because these are the very primary rudimentary things that we need to teach our learners or the learning English, that so that they can have good competence how to construct a word, how to analyze a word, how to form a new word, how to use inflection, how to use plural markers, how to use case markers, and all those things. Strategies for comprehension of contextualized word senses. This is a very complex task. How the exact meaning of a particular word is understood or can be understood by a learner when it is put in a particular sentence. So that contextualized knowledge or contextualized word sense can be captured, can be explored, or can be decided. Sentence structure analysis and comprehension, that is a more advanced one. If you give some English sentences to the learners, how they are going to analyze them, how they understand their meaning, their structure, their form, their clause structure, and all these properties. And develop the apps for smartphones so that these are accessible to the mobile phones and macOS users, should be available for pre-learning resources for Indian rural schools, and can be extended to all corners that cater the needs for English learners across the country. So these are the future missions for us, still untouched or rather unexplored, and we need very good interfaces developed. There are a lot of research questions and development components involved into it. Now, importance of this ELC. We have used this English language corpus. You can ask this question very clearly, that why you are using this English language corpus, because there is no other alternative. Availability of English language corpus in digital form gives us a good opportunity to us to cater needs of learners with multimedia and other facilities. Until and unless there was available, it was not possible for us. It is more beneficial than traditional methods of ELT. Recent experiments show that exposure to ELC works wonders for the ELT learners. Learners can directly use data, information, and examples to enhance their linguistic skills. If we follow the model of data-driven learning or lexical syllabus, where the learners are actually researchers, they get far better equipped than they have been taught by in a traditional method. So we should now direct our attention towards this method if we want to new generation to exhibit excellent linguistic skills in English in their life and growth. So our stand now, last but one slide. I've tried to highlight some of the basic traits and features of the cell system. Only one experimental study that we have shared now here. I propose to adopt this ELT for the Indian and other learners. In a given situation, SEL is appropriate as far as the question of linguistic competence of learners in English is concerned. It has certain advantages in developing the listening and speaking skills of learners and enhancing efficiency in reading, writing, and communication. We can apply it in a wholesome method, in the sense that it can enhance the quality and skill of learners with many linguistic deficiencies implanted in them. So here I finish, and if there is any questions, I'm ready to respond. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Niladri Shekhar Dash. Thank you for introducing us to the shell system. I think we'll have time for just one question. Do we have any question in the chat box? We have one question in the chat box. I can just read it out to you. Sir, why did you choose the British variety of English as your pronunciation model?
Yes, I have already answered in my talk, so I don't think that I should, because the other types of pronunciation, so we normally take the BRP or IRP, but for IRP we don't have sufficient audio and data or text data. So for experimental basis we have taken BRP. If you think that you can be comfortable with any other variety, please go for it. I don't have any problem at all. As long as the interface has served the learners, there is no problem at all which variety you adopt.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, yeah, please.
Okay, sir. This has to be the last question, I think.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Thank you.
I enjoyed your talk. It just happens that I also work in the same area,
Yes,
and I have developed a Bengali phonetic alphabet, okay, BPA, and have got a dictionary. I've also developed a Hindi phonetic alphabet, okay, Hindi phonetic alphabet, and I've just published a book, English Pronunciation Dictionary for Hindi Speakers. Okay. So that is currently available on Amazon. Now, I have some, disagreements with some of your slides, particularly the slides on vowels. Your upside down, the upside down V, that is not used for pronouncing words like car and part and things like that. It is used for cut but shut. It is very short. It is not a long one. It's a cut but shut. Hut. So I don't know. I would like to see that corpora where the students are picking up that sound. So other than that, I applaud your efforts, and I wish you all the best. I'm also working in similar area in my country, and currently India is also taking up my dictionary. Okay, thank you.
Good observation. Let me explore a little bit with the database which we have got, because this is a slide which has been made based on the audio data taken from the British audio speech corpus. So I'll recheck it once again, and if it is that you're based on suggestion, if it is needs to be rectified, then definitely I'll do the rectification.
Yes,
thank you for your advice, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Professor Niladri Shekhar Dash, for your talk, and thank you everyone for participating. I think we'll have to end this session here.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Niladri Shekhar Dash, for enlightening us with share system, a very innovative approach to teaching in these challenging times. Now it's time for handing over the certificate. It is on behalf of TESOL Society of Bangladesh.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And I would also like to thank the moderator, Dr. Asifa Sultana, for conducting the session.